The Battle of Mišar took place from 12 to 15 August 1806, with a Serbian victory over the Ottomans. For months the Serbian insurgents remained entrenched in Sconce fortification on field of Mišar Hill, and a pitched battle itself seemed suicidal from the Serbian standpoint, since their army of 7,000–9,000 men stood against an Ottoman force of 40,000 strong. Before the battle, Turkish army made its way toward occupied Belgrade. Karađorđe Petrović came to Mišar, and made his plans with rest of Serbian commanders. During following 4 days from Saturday to Thursday, there were smaller clashes with Turkish scouts, but on the morning of Wednesday, the main event happened: the Sconce fortress. When Karađorđe arrived, he calculated the strategic position. He then made his decision, that the Sconce fortification should be on top of Mišar Hill, on the field on the hill, between River Sava, the wood and villages Zaba, Jelinka and Mišar. The Sconce fortification was placed in direction north-south with 2 of its corners where cannons were placed. The fortress was made from earth in shape of square with north side little served from middle up to gun position. It had palisade as protection, and it had trenches around it. It had 4 cannons, from which one was a redden and a place to put powder and ammunition. Confrontation. The fighting began on Mišar Hill, with an opening charge of the Turkish Sipahi cavalry followed by a charge of their infantry units led by the Bosniak Kapetan Mehmed Begkulanović of Zvornik. The Serbian rebels made a Sconce fortification in form of square, which was 300 by 280 m in its dimensions, and Karađorđe remained in fortification to keep morale of men. The fortification had trenches around it. It was ideated that the leader of rebels Karađorđe stay in fortification, while Serbian cavalry wait the moment to attack, led by Pop Luka Lazarević and Miloš Obrenović. The Serbian sharpshooters were divided into 2 lines, and beside them were 2 lines of men that loaded the rifles. The shooters and gunners mowed down the first line of cavalry, and panic struck the Turkish lines when the horsemen retreated into the infantry led by Mehmed Begkulanović of Zvornik. However, the Ottomans soon regrouped and engaged the Serbian infantry. At one point Serbian men struck panic and they all went on middle of Sconce fortress, but Karađorđe took his saber, and ordered them to get back on their posts. Then, Karađorđe Petrović signaled for the charge of the Serbian cavalry from the opposite ends with 2 simultaneously cannon fire, to come, and defeated the Ottomans on the field. Serbian rebel cavalry, intended as a reserve, were situated close to the ditch near village of Zaba. Fights at Mišar lasted several days with mutual losses, but the battle itself ended with the collapse of the Ottoman center and the exposure of the right and left columns. Mehmed Begkulanović and the remaining Ottomans and Bosniaks continued asymmetric efforts against the advancements of the Serbian rebels. Then the Luka Lazarević charged with cavalry, broke the Turkish line, and the cavalry divided into 2 parts. One part charged boldly on Turkish artillery. The first rank was killed, but the rest killed all the artillery, and came to Turkish headquarters, where Turkish chief in command Süleyman Pasha Skorpiak was celebrating too soon. Mehmed Begkulanović of Zvornik and his Bosniak were killed on the battlefield. The remaining Turkish Bosniak army fled in panic from the battlefield. Some crossed Drina, some were killed, and some crossed Sava. International involvement. The battle could be considered part of Napoleon Wars, since both Austria and Imperial France had their involvement, and followed events of the battle. Emperor Napoleon I sent some of his artillerymen to help Turks, and one good part of Serbian rebels, included Karađorđe, were in Austrian Freikorps during Koka's Krajina. From his experience from that war, Karađorđe knew all he needed to know about earth fortification and tactic. Also, on Austrian side of Sava River, officers of Austrian army and Serbian people in Vojvodina made a high outpost from which they could watch battle on other side. Death of Mehmed Begkulanović. Some Serbian sources say that Mehmedbeg Kulinović of Zvornik, or Kulin Captain, as Serbs refer to him, died in a duel with Pop Luka Lazarević during battle, in which Luka was wounded. Other sources say that Mehmedbeg was killed by some Serbian riflemen, who killed him by treason from ambush, after his duel with Pop Luka. Mehmedbeg is the central figure with his wife in epic poem by Filip Visnić Boj na Misaru, or Battle of Mišar, where Mehmedbeg's wife waits for news from battlefield, that is brought to her by two ravens that are a metaphor of Bosniaks from the army who fled to Bosnia across the Drina. Testimony by Sekula Gavrilović, one of men that were involved in battle. Sekula Gavrilović told how it was during the battle. He said Karađorđe came to Mišar on Saturday. On Sunday there was a smaller clash with Turkish scouts. From Monday to Tuesday there was nothing, and on Wednesday the battle occurred. The testimony was written during 1810 by Isidor Stojanović, only 4 years after the battle, while Serbia was under rule of Karađorđe, but it was published as a commemorative in 1848. Aftermath. The battle forced the Turks into retreat and provided a significant military and morale victory for the Serbian rebels. Literature. Leopold Ranke, Die Serbische Revolution, pages 86-87.